Okay, so Toa was the winner of the poll. Toa is a timekeeper extraterrestrial. I call him a timekeeper. He's not doesn't keep time or anything like that because time doesn't actually exist. Um, but he is an ET who showed me a lot about time and about my abilities to travel back and forth. At one point, he actually said, I have the ability to jump forward, backward, pause, all that sort of thing, and I do. I traveled backwards for the first time 2 weeks ago, maybe, and he taught me a lot. But what's more fascinating, so a lot of people might be fascinated by the time concept, but his planet is the most fascinating part about him, not actually the concept of time. If you're interested in the concept of time, there are other videos on my feed about time, and he's the one who actually showed me the fixed points in time and how we all experience these fixed points, but at the same time we have the choice in between to live different timelines. And the idea being, if say a fixed point is a convention meeting and we're all together in a convention and we're all there at the same time, we're in the same moment. But as soon as we leave, we're all on our own timelines until we come back to a meeting or a fixed point in time that we all experience. And then he showed me a lot about just understanding it and working with it to see the future. And they're still working with me. I have Toa, not so much right now. Zontar is another ET who works with me, traveling back and forth to see different things and to understand what I'm seeing and how to strengthen the abilities and that sort of thing. But let's get back to Toa and who he actually is. So this is a picture of him. See that there? He is a 8 to 9 foot tall being, blue skin, dark purple splotches, dark blue and purple splotches, webbed feet. World is very wet, humid, dark, cloudy, and we'll get to that in a second. So the first thing you have to know is how I travel. I travel astrally to a lot of these planets and experience them in an energetic state. He is one that I went to last year, and I don't remember exactly the timing. I think I first saw him in May, and the drawing I did in September, or around September. And I did it because he actually asked me. He was like, "Okay, now go draw me now," and it was part of my spirit art training. So I was working with an Arcturian who I call the Master. They showed me long ago how to open wormholes, how to go from place to place. I got star map downloads, so I have visually it's like a carousel in my head of different planets that I can spin through, that I know the exact location in time and space to drop in and visit people. So I know exactly where to go and how to get there. And then the Master came to me one day and was like, you need to come to me. So I went to him, which is to do that. I was meditating at the time, open a wormhole with my third eye, pass through it astrally, pop out at another world, which is what I call the home planet. It's an Arcturian world. And I always pop out outside of the planet, not inside, not on the surface. Pop out outside and I scan the surface for wherever I need to go. In this case, he was already waiting for me where we normally meet outside of the region of space that we're at. And he goes, I'm going to take you somewhere. It's really far away. It's going to stress you out. And we need to do it this way before you can actually go yourself. You cannot do this by yourself. And I go, okay. So he opens up a wormhole and we travel through it and we end up far, far away, very, very far away compared to the other systems I've been to. And when we pop out, we're on a ball of energy, a gigantic ball of energy that has no physical presence. Energetically, it looked like a ball of white energy. You could call it a sun, but it was not a sun. It did not emit light, but it was there. But if we were to physically look at it, you wouldn't see it. So we're on there, and I tried to look through my journals before all this happened. I have a lot of experiences, so sometimes I don't always remember exactly what was said, and I was trying to figure out what was said and that sort of thing. I could not find the entry with the ball of light where I first met it. And so all I remember is I was there, and it actually had consciousness. It was a ball of conscious energy that communicated very quickly, very short communication, but it was such a powerful ball because that's what we connected to. We didn't go into space. We actually connected with that as a source point to travel to and stabilize our connection. And then the master pointed out to a planet far in the distance that we could not see, but we could feel was there. Remember, this sun conscious energy does not emit light. So it's not like our sun where you look out and you can, with a telescope, you can see Jupiter or Saturn or whatever because sunlight is bouncing off of it and lighting it up. Not the case here. So we open another portal from that consciousness and jump farther away from it to this outside this planet that is a black dot in space, essentially. And we can see it and feel it because when we get there, there's these little tiny lights all over the planet, almost like golden cities down there. But the planet, the only thing you can see is cloud cover. There's nothing else but cloud cover. It's just really thick cloud cover and these little pricks of light that are faded, kind of fade out like you would imagine the light happening when clouds are absorbing it. So we go down there because he wants me to meet somebody, and we figure out where we're going. We get a ping and boom, we drop down it. So we kind of ping pong from place to place and then drop down. Often reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy. Have you seen the second movie, I think, where they jump through all the portals to get to a one place that they're going to? We can't always just jump to a place. Sometimes we need to take steps to get there. So I go down, and there's this being who's just sitting kind of in a meditative position. He's not really meditating, he's just sitting in that position, cross-legged. And like I said, he's very dark blue, got darker blue and purple splotches. His skin is wet, very wet. The world is dark, and when I say dark, I mean new moon type of dark. There's no light other than in the distance. There's this golden city, and there's light coming from the city, and it's hitting the clouds, and it's being dissipated throughout the world. But there's several of them across the planet, and it's enough that it's hitting the clouds and coming back down and lighting up the world just enough so we can see. So that was interesting because when they were talking to me, they were like, there is no sun. There may have been moons. I don't know if I ever asked that question, but there's no reflection or anything to tell if there was. The planet keeps itself warm because of the cloud cover, and the lighting from the technology they have in their cities lights the world enough for them to see. He had enormous eyes for seeing in the dark and seeing differently and that sort of thing, which is why in the picture I think I even did more focus on like the eyes and stuff. And he started talking to me about time and things that were coming and abilities that I have that they wanted me to open up, future things that he saw because he could look into who I was and see my path. And one of the things the master said is, if you do this work, it was quite beautiful. He's like, if you do this work and you choose this life, you will continue to live spiritually and have, just beautiful lives because you keep choosing this path. And I chose to work with Toa, and we kept going back. And as I'm sitting there looking at him, I'm trying to learn who he is. They are, I think in my notes I said, they're not carbon-based. They are selenium or sulfur, were the words flashing in my head, and selenium kept coming up stronger. Now, I don't know anything about biology and the complexities of what life can be. I know from doing this work that our ideas of biological life are bullshit. Just to be frank, our ideas of life are just completely wrong, and science will catch up. But these were different life forms, completely different type of. They weren't carbon based. And it seemed like they had to have liquid in the air. The air was extremely humid. Lots of water, almost like we weren't in water, but his body was very moist and covered in water. He had webbed feet. The ground was swampy, not enough that a being would would sink into it, but very wet, damp, pools of water everywhere, little creatures running around. I made note of like a really big orange beetle beetle type thing running around. But what was really interesting is when I put my hand, they were like, put your hand to the grass, and I put the energy of my hand towards the ground, and the plants actually moved. Like, they moved. You put your hand to grass, and then it like moves around your hand and pushes away and all this other stuff. It was absolutely fascinating. I found out that they live in nature, and I'm going to pull some of my journals because I have notes here, see if I can find them. But they live in nature, and the way people heal, that they stay in balance, not heal, but that they stay in balance, is that they live in nature. They have cities, and select few of them choose to go into the cities. Sometimes they go into the cities when they need technology, but for the most part, most of their people live more primitive, communal lives. They live in more hut-like abodes, and they have high technology, but they don't use it a ton. It's not like our world covered in cities, and roadways and all of that. Let me see here. And hopefully I have these open to the right spots. There's just a lot of information here, and I do not have this memorized at all because of everything we have that I have experienced. Oh, that's what he said. So that we went into the village, and I was meeting some of the others that were there, his child, his family, and they were extremely happy, extremely friendly, loving, laughing, that sort of thing. And the whole message, they said, I was like, why are you showing me this? And they were like, the message is that nature brings people together: unity, balance, love, and happiness. Yeah, and then he was just talking about, like, part of our future is to come together, become more communal, become more natural, leave the cities. That was a big thing on one of the days that we talked, was getting away from city life, getting back to nature, rebalancing, and living communal lives that, and I'll talk about this more over time, where everybody supports each other. And I can say for a fact that the planets I've been to, the people I've seen, even on Earth, I've traveled to Africa, and the people living the simple natural lives of communal natures are the happiest people I've ever seen, hands down. Everybody thinks America is like great, and all that, and it's not. You see these people, and they're so free and so happy. It's unimaginable until you actually experience it. So we talked a lot about that, and then time travel. Like I said, those are in the other videos too, but the whole concept of talking about Toa was to tell you about his world, because it's the most fascinating world I've ever been to, and I haven't been able to see a lot because it's so damn dark. The idea that this is another idea I wanted to bring up is that the concept of a habitable planet is also another illusion, or you could call it misinformation, you could call it misunderstanding, you could call it whatever you want to call it, depending on where you are on the side of the fence of astronomical research. For the most part, I think is misunderstanding, and people just thinking like in terms of carbon-based life and us, our human selves. But his is what I call a dark world, or a cold world. No sun, nothing there to heat the world and give it light. But there is a conscious energy out there. There is life. There is cloud cover keeping in warmth and humidity, and technology they're using to light up the world just a little bit so you can see it. And that life is alive. And I've experienced a lot of places. One of the places I talk about a lot in my books are the floating islands, that I think whoever wrote them into the movie Avatar actually received that as a download, knowingly or unknowingly. It's called the Hallelujah Mountains in Avatar. But there's a world with floating islands that are actually humongous floating islands, like the size of cities, that are sanctuaries for different species of animals from throughout the universe. It's like a big zoo of sorts. And it's a topic I can get into another day, but there are dinosaurs there, living dinosaurs. So if you want to hear about that, comment below, and I'll make a video about it. But there are places throughout this universe that our guides and people who are creative don't always understand. They're intuitive, and that they're actually drawing things that they've seen before through unknown travel, whether dreams or whatever, or that their guides are feeding them information. And Avatar's filled with that, the Avatar movie. Toa's planet reminds me a lot of Avatar. A living world where the plants respond, the insects are consciously moving around, like everything's in balance, everything's in peace. And even with their technology, they've maintained that, having just these little dots of city type establishments around to create areas where it helps light the world, but it also helps, they have visitors, they have travel, these different things, but it's all in balance. And that's what Toa's world was about. He had a few messages. It was one, go back to nature, unity, peace, balance, restoration, all these things. And one of the other ones was that time travel is real, and he could see things that were coming, and he was teaching me about all of that. So if you're interested in time travel, there's another video about it in my feed. And if you have questions about Toa, let me know. I haven't talked to him. It's been a long time. It's been 4 or 5 months probably, and I need to go back. So if you have questions that you want me to ask any of these beings that I like to go to, let me know, because I'll create a list of questions and see if I can get answers from them. That would be really cool. And I can't promise they'll answer them. Some of them don't understand things, but depending on what the question's about, but I will see what I can do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in particular about him other than, the most fascinating parts were the planet was alive. It was a dark dark or cold planet, depending on how you want to describe it. They are not carbon-based creatures, which was fascinating because I had not had, to that point, nothing had ever said that it was not carbon-based. And, that was the other thing. The reason they were so far away and it was so hard is they were at the center of the Milky Way, is what he was telling me. They were at like closer to the center of the Milky Way, not on the outside edge like us. But very, very fascinating from the terms of our astronomical community doesn't know everything. Which we know, if you're watching this video, you know that's the case. So the universe is a magical place. There are many types of beings, and apparently there's some out there that I don't know. Like I said, my notes say sulfur, selenium, and he kept coming back to the word selenium. I don't even know if that's possible, but I have long pushed away the idea of is it possible, and just accepted that pretty much anything's possible now because of everything I've experienced. So if you have questions, let me know. But that's a little bit about Toa and his world. And thank you for watching.